I want to show another. Yeah, you were posting a lot of old photos. This is
Yes.
you and that's Simon Rich and that's America Sawyer, and the three of you wrote together and dear friends.
Yes, we wrote about 3 sketches together every week for 3 years. We were the closest of friends, and we would all the 3 of us would sit in a room writing filthy sketches all night long, and you would kind of check in and be like, "What are you guys doing?"
Yeah.
And you'd get a piece of it and be like, "No, I don't like it." And so we were doing a Thanksgiving scene, and we thought, let's take a picture, and we'll make a Thanksgiving card for Seth, and we'll give it to him. So that was the photo we took, and we made a card, and it had this on the front. It said, "Happy Thanksgiving, Seth." And then when you open it, it said, "We each other." And then we signed it, and it was nice.
It was nice.
Yeah.
Another SNL sketch you were in is a writer we both love. Wrote, this is Drag
Thrill
Brunch.
of a lifetime, yes.
James Anderson. How would you describe James Anderson for those who aren't lucky enough to know him?
Don't be distracted by this photo, but James Anderson is the writer who wrote this sketch, Drag Brunch, and is the funniest person in the world and that any of us have ever worked with.
Absolutely. Consistently funny week after week, and he's been working at SNL since, I think, 2000.
Yes, and would come into the rewrite room not knowing what anyone was pitching on and pitch a joke that would work better than anything. He would walk in and say, like, "Why doesn't she just go, 'I want a Perpsy'?" And he'd be like, "All right, we'll put that in." So, just like funny bones. And he wrote a sketch called Drag Brunch, and I said to him, "It is the thrill of my life to be in a sketch that you wrote."
And it was fantastic.
And I got to wear heels on concrete, which is fun.
Do your shins still hurt from wearing?
No, we figured it out good. Me and the wonderful costume department, you know, we judged based. I have a tear in my hip too, so we were factoring that in.
Got it.
How high the heels could be, walking on concrete, never having done it before, super nervous. All those things went in, and we went with a low heel.
Oh, wow. Do you have a greater appreciation for those in drag, for how hard it was?
I have a greater appreciation for those shoes, and for all the times I've been like, "Come on, let's get the cab." You know?
Yeah.
Come on! The Uber's here. Watch me walk in real time. It was like when a cow's born. A calf, I guess you'd say.
They're called calves.
They're called calves at first.
This is a sketch you wrote. You and College Jost wrote this years ago.
Yeah, and
then,
you didn't pick it. You were the head of writing.
I was the head of writing, but I remember saying, save it for when he comes back.
I'll wait till one of these writers improbably hosts.
You were a Les Mis fan as a child. So this was, I should point out, this sketch was called Diner Lobster.
Yes.
And it was to the Les Mis soundtrack.
Yes, it was about a diner that serves lobster, as some in New York do. Someone finally orders the lobster, and we bring out the lobster, who's Keenan, playing a Jean Valjean type. He's facing death. He's lived in the diner for 40 years. And the only music to accompany that is Les Miserables. So what we did was we wrote it by listening to the Les Mis soundtrack, and then we changed the words of the songs, and we made them about being a lobster.
That's sketch writing.
And that was at the table in 2010.
Yeah.
And I remember it was done, and it wasn't like you were mad, but everyone was just like, "Guys." And then we moved on. And now it's on TV.
Who'd you write it for? Do you remember who you originally wrote it for?
I think Galifianakis was the host.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I think you elevated it. There's a person on TV you get mistaken for.
Yes.
And you got mistaken in the park the other day?
No, this has been happening a lot. I'm not saying I look like the Flash, but I've been told enough.
Somebody just went, they kind of see it. Yeah.
Now they think I'm the Flash. But it's happened enough that I need to say something. I'm not the Flash. I was at the dog park. I had my dog, don't worry. And I see this woman, older woman, and a little boy are walking along the gate of the dog park, and the boy's jumping up to look over the gate, and he's jumping up, and he goes, "Flash! Flash! Flash!" Like, he had a little accent from, old Europe, when old spelled with an E, you know?
Yeah.
"Flash! Flash!" And his companion, grandmother, whatever, she goes, "He says you are the Flash." And I said, "No, I'm not the Flash," you know? And he keeps going, "Flash! Flash. And she goes, are you sure you're not the Flash? And I said, it happens from time to time. I'm not the Flash. Right at that second, someone walked up who recognized me from stand-up comedy and said, hey, I'm a big fan. And I went, thank you very much. And they walked away. And then I locked eyes with the grandmother. And she was so mad. And she looked at me and she said, no, you are not the Flash.
Just for those who don't know, let's go over to camera one. There's the Flash. Well, here,
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
not-
like they can't say it, but that's...
It's not perfect. Like when
It's
I came
not bad,
when
though.
I came home, I came back to the apartment. I was like, I'm sick of being the Flash. I gave no context to my wife. No context. I go, this kid thinks I was the Flash, and the grandma's mad at me. And then this guy said he was a big fan of mine, and that was embarrassing. And my wife Anna was like, so let me get this straight. Your two problems are that a fan said he likes your work, and that people think you look like a 25-year-old handsome actor who, by the way, you don't look like.